While the sight of cars being tossed around in a raging torrent may look like a scene from a Hollywood blockbuster, this became a reality for the small Cornish village of Boscastle in August 2004. This was one of the worst flash floods Britain has ever seen. It would take just 8 hours to turn this picturesque village into a scene of total devastation. At 12 noon, a cloudburst of biblical proportions began over Boscastle. By the end of the day, it would have dumped nearly 8 inches of rain straight into its main river, the Valency. Bursting its banks, this normally innocent-looking stream sent an estimated 440 million gallons of water cascading down the main street.
180 tonnes per second. That's the equivalent of the Thames flowing through Boscastle.
The river.
As I reviewed the footage taken that day, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
That's a tree. That is a big tree.
By 3:45, the river had burst its banks and overwhelmed the car park at the top of the village. As the first of many cars were swept down the main street, it was obvious that a major disaster was unfolding.
The cars were hitting the end of the building and they were just bouncing off like little toys.
It was surreal because it was like watching film, like you're just numb, you're kind of stunned.
2 helicopters were scrambled. All over Boscastle, tourists and residents were trapped in buildings totally overwhelmed by the water. Even the seasoned professionals were shocked by what they saw.
Nothing really prepared us. Just looking down, it was just an amazing sight.
As soon as the helicopters arrived on the scene, it was clear that time was running out. 90 minutes after becoming trapped, one by one, Rebecca's group were winched to safety.
But they knew they had to get us out.
I think it was only a matter of time really before, the houses and the foundations were washed away themselves.
Flash floods are some of the most unpredictable and dangerous weather events we face in Britain today. I'm here in Boscastle. The Boscastle flood was one of the worst recorded in Britain. With the sight of collapsing buildings and vehicles being washed down the main street, it looked as if there had been a major loss of life. By 8 o'clock that evening, 8 hours after the rain had started and just 5 hours after the river burst its banks, the water finally receded. It was only then that the true cost could be counted. But with the harbour containing over 100 cars, no one knew how many bodies. 100 people had been rescued in the biggest airlift since the Second World War. Roads ripped up, bridges and buildings destroyed, and over 115 cars swept away. The residents of this tranquil village were left in a state of shock.
There was an eerie silence over the whole village, and the only thing I could hear, which...
Water is driven by gravity, and water is trying to find the lowest point. And so Boscastle then acts like a funnel.
As the water raced through the village, it carried away everything in its path. For anyone caught in this torrent, the chances of survival were slim, but survive is what Emily Morn did. Estimated as a 1 in 400 year event. But with global warming and our climate changing, a repeat is increasingly likely.
Climate change will mean we get more intense rainfall.
I still can't actually quite believe that none of these cars have got people in them.